From then on, Jiang Yan and his American friends often met with each other, either in the United States or China. They included Dick Pastor and Morris Wald. A deep friendship tied them together. Their friendship was so close that they called it Brotherhood Beyond Borders. In one of his early letters sent home from China, Hyman wrote about Jiang Yan and his other young Chinese friends. I have made several friends who represent the future and new China. As they ran away from the occupied Japanese areas, they were all very poor. I never thought I would meet such patriotic, energetic young people, eager to fight for their country and even sacrifice their lives in order to bring the change to today's China. I'm sure that if China is in the hands of these people, given even half a chance, it will become a very strong and beautiful country.
My uncle, Howard Hyman, had loved China. It was like a second home. And Jiang Yan was like his brother. It meant so much to him.
David was moved by his uncle's experience with the flying tigers in China and his extraordinary experience of friendship. He spent 10 years writing a novel based on this true story. It includes his uncle's friendship with Jiang Yan. The book is titled Born of War.
He had a great story, a wonderful story about friendship, and of course the picture of his meeting with Mao Zedong and Zhou Enlai in September of 1945. And so he asked me to write the story, and I thought this was a wonderful idea, and I interviewed my uncle and Ed Bell and Jiang Yan, as well as Dick Pastor and Morris Wald, for many, many hours. And that's how I learned about Jiang Yan's life.
Based on a true story of American-Chinese friendship, the book drew a strong response as soon as it was published. Today, he is writing a film script based on his novel.
我代表中国政府和中国人民，向出席大会的国际友人表示诚挚的欢迎，向关心和支持中国现代化建设事业的所有的外国朋友们表示衷心的感谢。
在过去的50年里，就是你们用尽心血和努力来促进中国人民和世界各国人民之间的了解和友谊。
During this meeting, Jiang Yan met with Robert Sanborn, president of the U.S.-China People's Friendship Association, and other American friends.
见到你很高兴，我们很高兴再见。Okay.
Morning. How are you? Good to see you again.
He also met Barbara Harrison, former president of the organization. He was one of the speakers at the conference.
I arrived from Beijing to Washington, D.C. in 1979.
Many people came to this convention because of Jiang Yan's speech, during which he shared his legendary experiences since the founding of New China. He witnessed and reported on the founding of the People's Republic of China. He was invited to be chief editor of the magazine China Reconstruct by Sun Qingling, Madame Sun Yat-sen. He covered the Afro-Asian Conference in Indonesia in 1955. Enemies plotted to assassinate China's Premier Zhou Enlai as he traveled to this conference. A time bomb planted on board their aircraft exploded. Tragically, all the journalists on board were killed, but the Premier and Jiang Yan miraculously escaped. At the last minute, Zhou Enlai changed his schedule and asked Jiang Yan to do so as well. In 1979, after 21 years of persecution, he he became the first correspondent of People's Daily to be stationed in the United States. After being separated for 35 years, he was finally reunited with his friends from the Flying Tigers, who had been as close as brothers to him, and after 32 years he returned for a visit to the village at which he was forced to receive re-education. He met again with the local peasants, who had taken good care of him during those politically difficult years. He was interviewed by top news media and was received by one of China's most important leaders, Deng Xiaoping.
USCPFA, the U.S.-China People's Friendship Association, awarded Zhang Yan a gold medal, commending his contribution to more than 50 years of friendship between the American and Chinese people. The organization was founded in 1974 by a group who were actively developing friendship between the people of America and China. They included Flying Tigers veterans Dick Pastor, Howard Hyman, Edward Bell, Morris Wald, Jack Edelman, and many others. Though they had experienced the dark days of McCarthyism in the 1950s, they were relentless in their efforts to press for recognition of the new China and to promote the normalization of relations between the United States and China. For several decades, USCPFA has made great contributions to U.S.-China people's friendship, and in 1979, Zhang Yan was invited to attend this association's convention, where he once again met many old friends. In the 30 years after that, whether he was in the United States or in China, Zhang Yan never stopped writing. He wrote articles and published books, promoting understanding and friendship between the people of the two countries. Zhang Yan made friends with more and more Americans.
我叫一叫张年。你好，好久不见。Super deluxe, 5-star, 10-star.
I mean, this is a man who is, the exemplar of the very best in a friendship relationship.
This is my dear friend.
We've now made 77 trips to China. That's in 25 years. But every time we come to China, the first telephone call that I make is to Zhang Yan. We're here.
Zhang Yan and his wife are back in Pittsburgh, visiting the University of Pittsburgh at Johnstown, where they once taught Chinese history and language. The visit brings back happy memories.
Zhang Yan made friendship at the highest level between the United States and China.
Three of Zhang Yan's sons and daughters now live in the United States. He and his wife often visit them. Zhang Yan and his wife visit their daughter, Bei Li, and her husband, Michalcio.
Now we're going to Cindy's home.
Susan is so happy that her grandparents are able to meet her classmates' parents. They have become close family friends.
I gotta give you a hug.
Welcome to our house.
Christmas has arrived in Upland, California, where the Zhang's daughter, Xiao Hong, and her family live. Their son, Xiaoyan and his family are also here for Christmas. Every time Zhang Yan came to visit his children, he always made time to see Dick Pastor. Although Dick was aging, he had a strong wish to visit China again. Today, Zhang Yan returns to visit his old friend.
Old friend who is a young friend. Great. But you know, being with you makes me feel younger. I mean, when I think of you on a college campus, you know, I mean, you were a kid.
As the two men talk, the idea of a reunion in China becomes a focus for them. Dick told Zhang Yan that he wanted to revisit Beijing after over 30 years, and then return to Kunming after 60 years. Dick said that, given his age and health, this might well be his last opportunity to make such a journey. Zhang Yan and his wife fully understand Dick's eagerness to revisit China. They are happy and anxiously await his arrival. An email arrives from Dick Pastor, explaining to Zhang Yan that, due to health concerns, his doctor will not permit him to travel abroad right now. He hopes that rest and good medical care will lead to better health, that he might realize his dream of seeing China again. In his reply, Zhang Yan tells Dick of his experiences during the year, and that he's been waiting for his old friend's visit. Zhang's son, Xiaoyan, came from the United States to visit Beijing, paying a visit to the market where he sold meat and vegetables some 3 decades before. Everything has changed. Beijing is almost unrecognizable. But he still recognizes a man he worked with, who is now the general manager. The table on which he sliced meat is still here.
Hello, Zhang Yan, Dick Pastor calling from New York. We've had many interesting encounters, and they have all been welcome ones.
Dick is doing his best to improve his health, and he is keeping close contact with Zhang Yan through phone calls and emails. Once again, Zhang Yan has had an unforgettable experience, which he would like to tell Dick about in great detail. Dick is happy to share his friend's emotional experience. In his letter, Zhang Yan says, "Accompanied by my son, Dalong, my wife and I returned to the village where 32 years earlier we had been sent for hard labor. We were reunited with the local peasants who treated us so well during those difficult years. Dalong still remembers when he, his younger sister, and their parents were driven out of Beijing and sent to a village in Henan province. We all experienced hardship, but we also felt the warmth, sympathy, and concern of the local farmers. Many of those who came to the reunion were former students who my wife had taught in this village. Many were now successful in their own right, and they converged from their homes all over China to reunite with their beloved former teacher and her family.
哎呀，你怎么
你怎么这样？
对呀，你要根儿。
My wife wrote on the blackboard in the class where she once taught, "I am back, after 32 years." Too long a separation, too many words to be expressed, but what we mostly want to say is,
in a word, we are coming home.
Back home, a family reunion. I am so glad to see all of you old friends here at home. Let me say this also to our children, on you, for instance. She is my adopted daughter. I missed you so much.
Dick Pastor's health has returned now, and his doctor has given him permission to travel to China. His son, daughter-in-law, and sister come to congratulate him and take the Pastors out to a Chinese restaurant.
Oh, so good to see you. Boy, I get more kisses. Yeah, right. And retake.
Thank you.
Restaurant, very famous. Tell me again the name?
Near the boiler?
After a year-long wait, the Zhangs are finally ready to greet their old friend. September 2004, 6-year-old Dick and his wife Naomi, now 90, leave New York for Beijing. They finally make the flight to China again. They arrive back in the place they've been dreaming of. And they're finally meeting their old friends, who they've been thinking about day and night.
How are you? Hello. Do I get a kiss? Yeah, same here. It's been a long time.
There have been many changes in Beijing. They can hardly match this new city to their memory. The Pastors and the Zhangs meet their old friend Israel Epstein, who has lived in Beijing for nearly 90 years.
Coming back after 30 years, it's a different world.
Yeah.
That the changes are overwhelming.
1 week later, they traveled together to the city of Eternal Spring, Kunming, where Dick met another dear friend, the writer Ma Shatu, then 91 years old.
Hello, it's been a long time.
See you again.
Many, many years.
60 years.
60.
60 years. Yeah.
And here we are.
Yes.
Come and sit by my side if you leave me. Do not hasten to bid me adieu. Just remember the Red River Valley and the cowgirl who loves you so true.
As heroes of the past, returning to the place where they once fought the Japanese together, they were reminded of the brave men who had sacrificed their lives here. While visiting a monument erected in honor of the Flying Tigers, the group met 93-year-old Rita Wong, a former nurse in an American wartime hospital at Kunming. Dick Pastor had once had minor surgery in this hospital.
And mine is Dick Pastor. And you are how old? This is Naomi.
This is 90 years old.
Beautiful. We will, yes.
They visited Grandview Park, where they and other American GIs and Chinese students had often gathered for meetings during the war 60 years ago. After traveling a while, Dick Pastor asked to stop in order to find the exact spot where they often met during the war. Upon reviewing group photos, they were able to identify the place and went there and found it full of old memories. They decided to take another group photo. Ma Shatu said, "I see another memorable place where we often gathered in the past. There, over there on the grass, facing the Grandview Pavilion, by the lake."
This is the memorable occasion.
Yes.
Historic.
60 years is a lot.
A lot of years.
Short time.
A lot of years.
The most lucky one.
And I think the fact that we're here as survivors
That's right.
is quite remarkable.
Only a few survivors now.
We sit here looking for a bookstore that began our friendship 60 years ago. But construction, keeping the city modern, they say, has ripped up the roadway, closed off sidewalks. In its place, we have only a memory. And it's right down there in the middle of that block.
Zhang Yan, his wife Pei Yusun, and Ma Shitu attended Yunnan Normal University, where they studied together so many years before. There they had often met with Dick Pastor and other American GI friends.
Our meeting with these Chinese friends was a vital experience. The result of those meetings was friendship that has lasted all these years. It's been a wonderful, wonderful relationship.
Whatever the difficulties and contradictions in terms of political relationships between the governments of China and the U.S., the friendship between the people of these two countries will be everlasting. We hope it will live forever.
My feeling about coming to China, as I had in '72 also, is that I find the Chinese people the warmest, the most considerate, the kindest people I have ever met. Really, I think the Chinese people are the kindest, most friendly, the warmest people I have ever met, and I thank you all for that.
As it was difficult for them to meet, so was it difficult for them to part. The day to leave is getting closer. Dick, Zhang Yan, and Ma Shitu made a promise at Grandview Park that they would meet again at the 2008 Olympic Games in Beijing. Ma Shitu writes a 4-line inscription for Dick Pastor, which reads, "3 old men happily reunite, chatting about the past 60 years. There are still great expectations before them. Don't forget to meet again in Beijing in 2008.